of the many menu options that WordPress is going to give you, tools is something that is very important, but not used very often. So we want to talk about what they are so you know when to use them, when it's an appropriate time, and when not to. So let's take a quick look. Now, to do that, I'm going to go over to my left-hand menu bar, and under Tools, you'll see all my available tools that I do have here. If I click on Tools, you'll notice that it comes up with the available tools first, and this is a category and tags converter. Now, we haven't looked at categories and tags yet, but it does allow you to convert from one to the other and back, of course. So when we look at categories and tags in the near future, you'll be able to see that and kind of understand what that's doing. The ones that you find more often, however, is under Import, which allows you to import data from another resource. So I can take, for example, if I had a Blogger account from Google, I could import that and take all my data from Blogger and populate my WordPress website. Or maybe I had something from a WordPress.com or another WordPress site that I was moving. I can do an install, and then I can go in and import all that information. And there's a variety that come in by default for you. Now, you'll have to install these or plug in, but they show you how to do them. They have ways that are right there and easy for you. You can also go and search the plugin directory to find other import tools. So maybe you see something that's not here that you need. Well, you can import those as well if you find the appropriate tool. So it's very useful for moving one site from a static site or from another resource, another CMS system, something like that, into WordPress. Now, conversely, we also have an export feature. And if I click on that, it's going to export out all of my information as what's known as an XML file. And you can see that information about that. You can also do an extended RSS or WXR. And this is going to take all of your posts and pages and comments and all the custom fields and all that stuff and export it out. The idea being, once again, if I want to import into another WordPress site, I can easily export and then go in and import. So it makes it really helpful. So this doesn't need to be used very often. A lot of times it's just done once or twice, maybe an export and an import, but they're there for you. Now, under Tools, we have a few other things. Site Health is a relatively new option. And when you see here, this is going to tell us what's going on. I have one critical issue and 3 recommended improvements. Now, the critical issue is I'm going to display errors to my visitors. And that's because this is a demonstration site, and I have turned on to show errors so that when we're working on it, if we see an error, it will appear. I would disable that feature, of course, when I go into production or if this was a live site. So I'm not really worried about the critical issue because this is a developmental type site. The 3 recommended improvements, notice 1 is for performance and 2 are listed for security. So these are just letting us know that, hey, removing inactive themes and plugins, that's always a good idea. I've mentioned this before in other videos. That would remove those 2. And I'm currently running a slightly older version of PHP, 7.3. They recommend 7.4 or possibly even version 8, which just recently came out. Now, if you want to know about all the tests that are run, there's a button here at the bottom, and I can choose Past Test. These are ones that worked correctly. So I have 17 items that they also checked that I passed on, security and performance-wise. So overall, this is a pretty good setup. I would have a little bit better performance with a newer version of PHP, but I'm currently limited by what my host is providing. There's 2 other things that have also recently come out with WordPress, and these come in default with WordPress. One is to export personal data, and I can put in a username or email address, and I can get all the information that's collected and send it to the person, and I can also erase personal data. Same type way. Notice here we'll also put a username or email address to erase the data. Now you might be asking, well, what is this for? Well, due to some recent laws that have come out, users have a lot more control about their privacy and getting to know how we're using data. So this is a good way to check on that and stay compliant. If someone were to send a request about how you're using their data, and this could be anything from their IP address, their email address, their username, etc., this is a way that we can be compliant with the laws. Now, this is the ones that come by default with WordPress during the install. Some plugins will add additional tools or maybe even additional menu items that are not seen here on my far left-hand side. And that's something I'd be mindful of. So whenever I'm working with WordPress, I want to know what's available to me and where it's going to be located. And knowing my menu items and kind of figure out where things go is a good way to be able to find that information that I need.